Hello, I'm Bill Magro from Google Cloud. I'm Chief Technologist for High Performance Computing, and today I have Steve Hebert and Leo Reiter of Nimbix with me. This is part of our HPC Days Digital series, where we talk to partners and customers and highlight Google HPC technologies. During our presentation today, we will have a Q&A, and feel free to submit your questions through the chat function, and Google and Nimbix experts will be available to answer those questions. So let's get going. Steve is CEO of Nimbix, and Leo is CTO and Senior Vice President of Product at Nimbix. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's great to be with you today.
Thank you, Bill.
Hey, Leo. So Steve, to kick us off, I'm not sure if everybody's going to really know Nimbix, so why don't you give us just a quick overview of your company and what your offering is?
Sure. So Nimbix has been delivering high-performance cloud computing technology and services for nearly a decade now. And in fact, we've been one of the early proponents of doing high-performance computing in the cloud. And I think today we're excited to talk more about how we continue to evolve our technology, both as a platform and software product for enterprises doing HPC in the cloud, and talk a little bit more in detail today about how we're working with Google in that area.
Well, thanks. It's great to have you. So let's just jump right in. Our agenda is going to be pretty much just a chat here, talking about Nimbix, talking about Google and how we're working together. We'll have a demo, and then again, we'll wrap up making sure to answer the questions that you put in the chat window. So, looking at what's going on in the industry, just recently, we saw an update from Intersect 360 Research, one of the leading research firms in high performance computing. And their observation was that from 2019 to 2020, the HPC market was actually relatively flat or even contracted. But while it was flat overall, HPC in the cloud grew almost 79% year over year from 2019 to 2020. They also noticed that the most significant shift towards cloud spending was happening in the workgroup and departmental segments. That is, those segments who purchase systems, $250,000 and smaller. So kind of curious, Steve, that's what the analysts are saying is going on in the market. What do you see going on?
Yeah, I think, it's interesting, hearing from Intersect, and I've known Addison Snell and Intersect for a long time, and used to have friendly debates about the future of HPC in the cloud and true high performance computing class capabilities and whether they existed or didn't exist in the cloud once upon a time ago, right? And but I think we absolutely agree with what they're seeing, and obviously that's bearing out in the numbers, is that we're seeing, customers across the market in every domain looking to take computing to the cloud. And I see this kind of in two vectors, right? The first is, as you mentioned, the work groups, folks that are coming from the traditional desktop or workstation with, maybe dual processors and cores, and taking simulations to their max on these on-prem components of hardware, and very much needing to move up to more higher classes of HPC, and going straight to cloud, right? And I think that's a big move of that end of the market towards cloud. And I think, though, that the other trend we see is even the more traditional enterprise HPC consumers, and not so much government labs and academic institutions, but the large enterprises that consume HPC for simulation, for energy research. We're seeing a big move of looking at hybrid technologies to leverage both the best of capabilities they have on premises and extending that into the cloud and doing that in a seamless way. And so I think, today we're going to be, wanting to dive a little bit more into our view from a services and product perspective, and, showcase how we're helping customers achieve that on both ends, right? On this work group end as well as the enterprise side.
Well, you said something interesting there, which is, talking to Addison and, the point of view of the role of cloud and high performance computing, and the other big analyst out there is, of course, Hyperion. And I think both Hyperion and Intersect 360 had very different views about when the cloud transition would occur, but they both believed it would occur. They've got different points of view on the size and the time at which it would turn a corner. But the interesting thing is between 2019 and 2020, both Intersect 360 and Hyperion, recognize that we have turned a corner. Hyperion, for example, saying that 2019 was the tipping point year, and now Addison in his most recent projection saying that HPC in the cloud is going to have a 6-year annual growth rate of almost 31%, growing to $7 billion by 2025. So it's clear that folks are finding value in cloud. I think it's great that it's becoming so much more accessible. But this theme of hybrid and open cloud is really important. And Google, we're big champions of this. How does Nimbix serve the hybrid and open cloud market with your products?
Yeah, that's a great question. And obviously we're coming from a background of having long been a service provider of high performance computing cloud capabilities, but taking very much a workflow centric approach, not an infrastructure approach. And even though we spent a lot of time enabling exotic capabilities in the cloud around accelerated compute and so forth, the user experience is where we focused, right? On point and click ease of use, supercomputing class capabilities with point and click ease of use around the application domains that our customers consume. So if you're using ANSYS simulation or Siemens tools or your own algorithms for life science research, right? This is the lens with which we provide our customers to enter into HPC in the cloud, as opposed to thinking about it as, a cluster of VMs that you're constructing, yourself. And so I think that's a very key part of our value prop and our platform stack. And I think as we look towards the hybrid, we had customers long ago that told us, hey, this is your platform's so easy to use. It's easier to use than my on-prem supercomputer for our end users. So how do we get this platform on our local clusters? And that was really the birth of the product we'll showcase today, JARVICE XE, which is a full hybrid cloud platform. Obviously, it can serve both on-premises requirements. It can satisfy pure cloud requirements, but it can also be a hybrid of both or multi.
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting things is one of the reasons people are attracted to cloud is because the traditional barriers to adoption on-prem, they were easy to overcome for large enterprises, but even within large enterprises, there are sometimes groups that don't know how to do HPC and manage resources, or maybe just don't have access to those large corporate resources. And so, the combination of cloud giving you compute on demand and the Nimbix software making it so easy really feels like it's going to be a key part of democratizing HPC, as we've been talking about for a long, long time.
Agreed. There's one other key point I think that's relevant, and I would highlight, is that in the early days, let's rewind, 5 years ago, before the Intersect and the Hyperion teams have kind of said, hey, these are the years. There was a period of time with which the public cloud resource capability was either not adequate or suitable for true HPC workloads, or even if it were, the economics were such that, there was this view of on-prem versus cloud. And I think over the last several years, we've seen a dramatic shift in the economics and the capabilities that are available in the cloud today. And I think, obviously that's what we're going to talk about when we highlight, what we're doing with you guys and Google, because those are obviously some of the exciting things that we're helping bring to customers to solve these complex problems.
And I would add, that Steve, as you mentioned, that we're so heavily focused on the end user experience and just kind of the end user success and workflow, that what it allows, us users to do is to consume other clouds without actually understanding the topologies and, as Bill, as you mentioned, the technologies behind it. And it just really facilitates now, the end user just has to think, here's kind of the capabilities I need, here's the scale I need to run my workflow. And those exact, where is it going to be placed are really, it's an IT problem that's solved behind the scenes by policy. And it's not now putting the onus on, that domain expert to then also figure out the IT side, which is what it would have taken before to actually do hybrid cloud. So we think our technology is really an enabler, at that level as well.
Yeah, we've touched on some reasons why customers are attracted to the Nimbix solution, right? Ease of use, making it very easy to deploy, not having to become an expert in IT or in cloud. But can you outline a few of the common use cases and maybe some customer successes to make this concrete for folks?
Sure. Yeah. So, obviously as we mentioned, our use cases are focused heavily around the domain science of our customers. And this ranges from use cases across industries, from manufacturing, aerospace, automotive, life sciences, AI, deep learning. And obviously the list goes on, and it's one of the things that we love doing is, our customers are the ones, innovating and building such, cool things. We just want to be helpful in speeding up their engineering cycles. But, to give you some specific examples, and we have several great customer case studies published on our website that, we would encourage viewers to go take a look at. Boyd Corporation has been a very long time customer, heavily focused in the simulation space for, thermal types of fluids simulations, and, basically manufacturing products that have to be, simulation is an extremely important part to determine reliability and capability. And Nimbix, we work with Boyd to help speed up their simulation times, increase their domain user, kind of productivity, so their time to results, and again, focused on, giving them the actual workflow that they're used to doing, which, comes from a historical, that work group, workstation type environment that you referenced before. Another one that actually is a consumer of JARVICE XE, our platform technology in a hybrid and on-prem deployment, which I believe we'll show a slide on, is Qorvo, which is a semiconductor company that does obviously a lot of tremendously advanced simulations that are very complex and consume a lot of computing horsepower, large memory systems, large size clustered compute. And our platform enables them, not only their end users to do their focus on their domain productivity, but allows the IT and HPC administrators to actually get a single pane of glass to view their entire landscape of HPC resources, whether they are the on-premises capabilities, and it may be more than one on-premise facility, right? All the way to integration with public cloud resources.
And that's also a good example of a customer that was wanting their cloud transformation, or their technology platform adoption of our stack was a result of their desire to do a multi-cloud transformation, because they recognized that continuing to do the traditional HPC the way they were doing it was just not going to scale from a personnel perspective, technology perspective, across multiple sites and multiple clouds. So what they did is they actually had this transformative vision to say, let's upgrade our platform to something modern and container native, et cetera, and that will help us get to a multi-cloud position that we want to be in. And that's exactly what we help Qorvo do. So I think that's an important sort of transformation mentality that customers are starting to look at for embracing a hybrid cloud approach.
Well, one thing that I've noticed is that you support a lot of the key software applications that people use to do simulation, modeling, and so on in HPC, but you do it in a really different way. It's a different user experience, and it appears to be a different architecture in how you deploy that. So we're going to get to the demo here in just a minute, but Leo, could you tell us a little bit more about the architecture and the user interface and the thinking there?
Sure. So what we realized is that you have some very pragmatic simulation / HPC software users that are really in a traditional sense, they're writing job scripts and a lot of the stuff that you would do because they really had no choice. This is the way that you interface with that computer. But what they really wanted to do was just run a solver with a certain set of parameters. So way back, in the early days of Nimbix, we came up with this concept called reconfigurable cloud computing, which is really, based on let the platform deal with the clustering and the infrastructure and all that, and present to the user just a simple either API or click-through portal where they said, I want this application with this workflow with these parameters in this data set. And we call that a processing API, which has evolved into what we have today. So that's kind of putting things upside down. Instead of first choosing a cluster, sizing it, and then submitting a job to it. What you're doing is you're submitting a workflow, which ends up submitting a job and doing all these things. But all the infrastructure provisioning is happening for you in the background. And the second thing that's really key, another really key innovation of Nimbix that, again, this is back from the days when we were having those debates that Steve was mentioning about, cloud and so forth. Even before that, or adjacent to that, we actually embrace containerization, which is something that Google is obviously very familiar with and, very innovative on as well in other domains. And we saw containerization as a way to expand HPC into the cloud, and not just by just supporting this trendy topic of containers, but allowing, first of all, self-service application deployment and portable application deployment without having to be, stuck to a certain infrastructure, for example, a specific API for the underlying cloud. And second, it allowed us to run without certain overheads that, other methods at the time were requiring, like virtual machine images and so forth. So, we bought into this technology a long time ago before containers were trendy. And now, of course, everybody wants to do containers, and Google's also been very visionary on kind of the Kubernetes angle and the Borg before that and so forth. So there's a lot of alignment there, which is great. But I think that it's such a key part of our architecture. Every single workflow that runs in the Nimbix environment, whether it's the Nimbix Cloud or JARVICE XE, is a container with the whichever application suite it is. It could be ANSYS, it could be Star CCM, it could be some custom code that the customer has and onboards themselves. And that is what this processing API actually plugs into and allows, scaling out these containers and running. So that was, very unique, and to this day, it's still a very unique way to do HPC. And it's something that, we're really proud of, having innovated that back in the kind of the 2012 timeframe.
Well, great. So with all this, I'm sure folks are eager to see, what the Nimbix platform looks like. So Steve, I understand we're going to get a demo.
Yeah, so we're going to have one of our pre-sales engineers, Adil Noor, do a walkthrough, just a quick overview demo of the platform itself, going through the process from an user perspective of running workflows in the platform. And it could be either in the Nimbix cloud itself, or the same experience is provided by JARVICE XE, which can be deployed anywhere. And so with that, we can hand that demo over to Adil.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adil Noor. I'm the sales and application engineer here at Nimbix. I'm going to be talking to you briefly about Nimbix's JARVICE XE software and some of its features. JARVICE XE brings supercomputing cloud technology to your data center and advanced workflows while it maintains an extremely easy to use interface. JARVICE XE can work in a variety of different environments with a variety of different infrastructure. So it can support InfiniBand, GPUs, FPGAs. It also can support a variety of different architectures. What I'm sharing here is a JARVICE XE platform. A user simply opens up a browser and goes to the appropriate website. In our case here, we have a session set up here at cloud.nimbix.net. They log in with their credentials, and they would typically land on top of the dashboard page here. And this dashboard page pretty much shows if you have any jobs running. It also has your project management tools here on the left side, where the user can look through their history. They can run some pretty detailed reports, and these will actually show all of the usage that they have done so far. So it shows you which user has used what application for how long, and what the cost of those specific jobs are as well. So very detailed, very granular information. Also here on the dashboard, it shows you how many total jobs were run, and then a total runtime as well. The administrator will have some additional features where they can see team jobs and who else is running on the cloud. And they can also look at individual costs as well as the team total cost here at the bottom. To start a job, user simply just clicks on this compute button here in the top right corner, and they're taken to the HyperHub catalog. This is where Nimbix manages all of these applications. So we have a variety of different independent software vendors. And they're in all these different categories that you see listed here. We have artificial intelligence, bioinformatics, rendering, simulation, as you can see here, and then also some software development tools. All of these applications, they are managed by our partners. So when they do release the latest revision. So for instance, you're looking at the ANSYS cards here. When ANSYS releases their latest revision, it'll automatically populate here inside of the HyperHub catalog. This is extremely useful because it saves IT departments significant amount of time where they don't have to manage these applications and update them constantly based on the revisions that are being released. A user can then simply pick the application that they want to run. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and type in ANSYS up here. And that will filter out all of the ANSYS application cards here, as you can see. And you can simply just pick the application that you want to run. And a lot of stuff is happening underneath the hood here with JARVICE XE. It's actually going to build and deploy the cluster for me here. And all I do is I can pick this interactive button here. And when I click on that, it takes me to this screen, and this is where I build the cluster. You can see I've got a variety of different machines available, including these Cascade Lake 30-core machines. We also have some very powerful 80-core 192 terabyte machines as well. And what you do is you simply just pick the machine. In this case, I picked this Cascade Lake machine, and now I can just build a cluster. You notice as I slide this slider over, I can build just massive clusters here. In this instance here, you can see that I'm building a cluster with 100 of these machines, 3,000 cores. And simply, Jarvis will go out and grab those machines and build the cluster. You can see this is a preview submission. All the work that's going on under the hood here is telling you which machine type, the Cascade Lake here, and how many of them, and then it'll actually submit this to start the cluster. So I'm not going to build that large of a cluster. I'm just going to go ahead and pick, let's say, 2 machines, which is 60 cores. And I'm going to go ahead and click Submit here. And Jarvis is going out to the data center right now. It's grabbing those 2 machines, and it's deploying and starting that cluster. I already have a machine started here to show you what that will look like. And in this case, this is a Linux Ubuntu machine. Once the machine is started, you will see a couple of new icons here, a shutdown button, information button, so you can remotely connect. And then when you simply just click on this preview screen, it pops open a new tab in your browser, and I'm actually controlling that machine live from my browser. My laptop here is not a very powerful machine, but I'm actually controlling these very powerful 16-core, 120 gig machines right here from my browser. Just to recap, JARVICE XE software allows users to deploy jobs on the cloud provider of your choice. In this case here, we were running on top of Google Cloud, and we were running inside of the Iowa data center. You can run on a variety of different architectures. You can build and run on on-premise environment, so on-premise cluster, and then burst to the cloud as well. So it gives you quite a bit of flexibility that way. There's quite a few monitoring and administrative tools that are available inside of the JARVICE XE application. The administrator will be able to set up machines, set up zones. They'll be able to restrict users, set up licensing, set up a variety of different administrative controls for the entire environment. There's also tools for monitoring spend and billing as well inside of JARVICE XE. Thanks again for giving me the opportunity to give a brief overview of JARVICE XE.
Thanks very much, Adil.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I really like the simplicity of the interface and the clarity, the dashboard with your jobs and the ability to see, what a job is costing. So, Steve, could you kind of highlight some of the things here in the demo that we should pay attention to?
Sure. I think, obviously, in addition to looking at the platform from the end user workflow perspective, Adil showcased some of the administrative capabilities of the platform. And I think it's really important to highlight the enterprise administrative features of the platform. It's a full enterprise class product that deals with enterprise security, logging, audit, authentication, identity, data protection. So there's a lot of elements of doing HPC in the cloud that the platform accommodates. And so you got to see a little bit of that in this demo. And we'd certainly invite those that are interested in taking a deeper look at some of the expanded capabilities. We can do a follow-up later. There's one other thing I think that I want to highlight that maybe was not covered in the demo is the platform as a service options that Leo mentioned just a minute ago, which, he mentioned a customer may be bringing their own algorithm or their own application. And as you know, Bill, in HPC, there's a lot of that. There's certainly a ton of industry capability or, commercial applications, but we do have a large number of customers that use our platform to curate, to manage and deploy in a continuous integration, continuous deployment methodology, kind of a CI/CD pipeline for their HPC app. So Leo alluded to this modernization of HPC that our platform accommodates. And so I think that's something that's oftentimes overlooked, but it's critically important, for time to answers, time to results as the cloud continues to evolve and the workflows continue to evolve.
Yeah, that's really great. One of the things that you talked about is the fact that you're able to deploy this environment in cloud, in different clouds, clearly in Google Cloud and on premise. And that's thanks to the containerization and also embracing Kubernetes as an underlying substrate. So can you say a little more about why you are working so closely with Google Cloud when your software can run anywhere?
Yeah, I think that, from a technology perspective, there's two things that, obviously we're really appreciative of and we think we align really well on. First off is the vision of containerization. I think Google, from an infrastructure provider or cloud provider, for sure has the most, is most bought into that concept that, modern workloads in containers at scale is kind of the way to, do computing. And obviously, for us, it's important that our, who we partner with and where our customers run their workloads, that we know that there's a vision there that aligns with ours. So as we mentioned earlier, that's something that we've been talking about for a long time in HPC and we've been doing, and it was just kind of made sense to partner with Google to achieve that. The second thing I'll say that's we also found really important with Google was kind of the rate of innovation. Not just around that particular technology, but around, just all the ancillary technologies that would enable that and kind of the engagement from Google product folks and just their interest in getting this technology evolved in the cloud. It just seems, it's a posture that we feel very akin to given that we obviously have the same interests. So those would be like the two major sort of technology alignments that we see with Google that I think, is better than with any other provider.
And I think just to add to that, Bill, one of the other things I think with Google that's really impressive and I think important for enterprises is the commitment and the growth of kind of enterprise business and sales focus for Google Cloud, from Google Cloud. So, everyone's familiar with the Google brand and Google Cloud, being a leader in computing and all of the things that Google does. But to see the level of commitment, investment, and go-to-market in the field to help customers solve these hard problems is really important from Nimbix's perspective in partnering in the market and meeting in the market to go help customers solve their problems.
Yeah, well, we talked before about the hybrid cloud trend and hybrid HPC, but we really didn't talk outside of HPC. And if you go into the broader enterprise, lots of folks are wanting to do hybrid, right? And Google is enabling that through things like Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE, and Anthos. And one of the reasons I think Nimbix is so interesting and exciting is because it provides a way for enterprises to embrace a hybrid cloud for their enterprise computing and then run HPC in that same exact common environment that spans on-prem and cloud. And that makes, I think, Nimbix really unique in that regard and attractive to these enterprises who don't want to choose different environments for HPC and for their modernization of their own infrastructure. So I think we've had a really good overview here of the Nimbix software and how you're solving problems, important problems, and solving them differently. And it looks like we're aligning really well to the trends in the industry with folks who've maybe had access or had difficulty getting access to the HPC resources they need, now eased through Nimbix and cloud. So it's wonderful working together. If folks are interested in learning more, what should they do, Steve?
Yeah, we're going to show a slide here with some contact information. We should please reach out to Christina White on the Nimbix team. And we will be very happy to set up some free trial time with Nimbix and or help set up POCs with JARVICE XE running on GCP. So we look forward to connecting with folks and helping them learn more about the platform and actually putting it to use and showcasing the kinds of capabilities we can bring with together with Google.
Well, we're seeing a lot of exciting momentum around Nimbix on Google Cloud, and thank you for your partnership and your time today. It was great having you, Steve and Leo.
Yes, thanks very much. It's great to be working with you guys, and we appreciate the time.
All right. And again, if you have any questions, toss them there in the Q&A, and we will answer them as quickly as we can. Thanks for joining us today.